Way to start your day.
Indeed, it is at 6 minutes after 7 o'clock on this 18th day of July, getting into the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. Everybody welcome on all our various platforms where we're streaming this show live, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, as well as TikTok, Twitter, I now say X. And welcome to our audiences on KTN Home this morning. Thank you for being here today as we get into conversations. This hour, we're going to look at a number of things, from abductions to the talks of where tribal lines continue to be drawn within Kenya's political landscape, and asking the question, where then freedom, and how can we ring that bell? Two guests will join us today. One of them is already here. And even as we get into that conversation, Noni Bell Mso is a communications consultant, and she's here with us this morning. And as we wait also for Kimani Ngunjiri, who is a politician, and we have those conversations today. Noni, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great.
Karibu Sana.
It's awesome to be here.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That is the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Absolutely. I'm always part of it, albeit remotely.
Mm-hmm.
So I am so glad to be here in person.
Great to have you here.
Mm-hmm. I don't know whether that 1 hour is going to be enough, but let's make do with what we'll have.
Let's see what magic we can do with 1 hour.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So as you're here, the cup of tea that we welcome you with is a proverb. This week, proverbs are coming from the island nation of Cabo Verde, and CT will do the honors. And then you tell us what you think of the proverb and how you would interpret it.
All right.
Sounds good?
All right.
All right.
I know it perfectly. Prevents the wasp from learning to make honey.
I know it perfectly. Prevents the wasp from learning to make honey. What do you think of that, Noni?
Well, I think in summary, that just means that there is no limit to just what amount of knowledge or just how much information one can continue learning and earning as they sail through life. You never become an know-it-all in anything. Well, we are not born knowing anything, and we keep growing. We keep adding to ourselves. We keep adding to our essence, growing, inputting into ourselves. But when you have that attitude that I am it, whether in family, in politics, in business, if you feel I am it, that's a barrier you've put for yourself. That's what I feel about that proverb. So I think even as an individual, I've picked something. Maybe I woke up today and I'm feeling, okay, you know what? I know how this day is going to go. I know what plans I have, but I never know what I'm going to come out of here. City is a person I've probably maybe idolized for the longest time. So I don't know. For some reason, that has hit home. I'm here to absorb. I'm not here to give. So if we do that as a nation, as a people, even as humanity, as a species, yes, indeed, we are going to go leaps and bounds.
Well, there you go.
Very well said.
Very well said. Okay.
Very well said.
Well, you know, even as we get into all of these conversations, Noni, and even as we we'll wait on our second guest, but the conversations go on, and we're seeing a number of things happening in the country at the moment. And even as late as yesterday, and likelihood of what we will probably see in the future, if habit is anything, abductions continue in this political landscape. Talks along tribal lines and who should head what section of the country, and who should deliver what in terms of affiliation. Those talks continue to happen, and it is clear that Kenya is still shackled by the older way of doing things, as well as tribal lines which continue to wrap themselves around Kenya's people. I want to understand what your take is about what is currently going on, and how then we can start to untie those lines for Kenya to actually go towards freedom.
I really appreciate that line of conversation, because I guess when I was preparing mentally for this show, I was maybe deeply engrossed in the demo business. But when I saw that line of discussion, I was like, wow, somebody is seeing in between the ash and the smoke and the tear gas. Somebody is spotting something that we probably are not even concentrating on. The tribalism aspect of all this chaos. If we look at the belligerents at war, because we basically, as lay people and as people who probably are going to be affected by the situations happening in the country, we look at the players as belligerents. There's a lot of tribal connotations and, undertones and undercurrents going on. But there's something you've talked about. Who in which tribe should get what? One of the leaders very recently said something about that. Unfortunately, it's somebody from my community. I am embarrassed at this moment. Like, in the 21st century of information, communication, and technology, we are still there looking at what is my dialect, like where is my origin, and how does that have to do with anything? It is not. Does it add to my merit? I think that's silly. Sorry to say that. I hope I'm not offensive. That is not a line of conversation we should be taking in the 21st century. Let's start there. So I would want to shun all manner of tribalism. And by tribalism, I mean this: looking at ethnicity as a point of engaging negatively. Forget the other aspect of tribalism, that we are from different ethnic groups. Our diversity is our strength. I think if there's something I enjoy about the beauty of this country, is that we are a whole 40-something going 50 tribes. So it is very hard to actually, get to situations where there are two tribes that are hitting at each other, because we're so many. So it's an advantage, don't you think? But when somebody now stands out and set themselves aside that we are from this tribe, so we should get these positions, or you are from this tribe, you should not get this position, that is the reason we're in problems in the first place. Because forget Gen Z, forget the finance bill, and forget all those other things that we are being given as the bullet points for the chaos. Deep down, the undercurrents all go down to that aspect that people feel that a certain tribe is not deserving and another one is deserving. I think that is absurd. It is wrong. It is archaic in this day and age.
Where does it come from? Because it seems to be something that never actually ceases from the conversation, whether we're talking about politics, whether we're talking about, appointments in government positions or corporate positions. The undercurrents run hard and heavy. Where does it come from? Where does it stem from? And why can't it just be let go of?
We are the ones who sow those seeds of discord. It is us. It comes from our parents. It goes to us. Now we are giving it to our children. Fortunately, our children seem to be somewhat negating from that kind of narrative. And I feel if we were to take, there's something, I was watching a certain preacher, he's called Bishop JJ recently, there's something he posted, and he said, and he was talking to us, the millennials, and he was telling us, I am a millennial, by the way, I'm that age group of people who grew up with Maziwa ya Nyayo. And he was telling us, you people, you are the last to be sowing these seeds of discord, because we've intermarried. My children are mixed tribe, for example. Well, a lot of us have intermarried. A lot of us have grown out of that, tiny cocoon of tribalism by virtue of, exposure, traveling, being forced by circumstance to, intermingle with other people. And then you realize at the end of it all, we're all human. The humanity aspect of it is what is keeping us in a point where we are reasoning. But do not forget that seed of tribalism was so inculcated in us. We were indoctrinated like there's no tomorrow. Growing up, I was a Kikuyu growing up in Cumberland. And my classmates would come close to me and they would drop a piece of glass. It would be like tinkling sound like that 5-shilling coin, which was precious then. And they would want to see my reaction. Obviously, when I hear something, ding, I'll turn, they're like, she's a Kikuyu. So there was that mentality.
Because they drop the coin? Okay.
Yes, a Kikuyu will always respond to a coin. And I used to feel so traumatized. So I grew defensive. By the time I landed in Nairobi, and there are Kikuyus everywhere, and I wasn't even very fluent in Kikuyu at that time. I was actually fluent in Kamba more than I was in Kikuyu. So I felt now the Kikuyus are sidelining me. We uko na Kaukamba. Look at me. I am just caught in between, because the Kikuyus don't feel I'm Kikuyu enough and the Kambas don't feel me. So I'm just there caught in between. So when I ended up mixing my kids, I was like, I didn't realize I just landed into it. But for some reason, it was beneficial to me and to them, because they're never going to lean on one aspect. So to answer your question, it is us who are planting that seed of discord, of tribalism. Instead of embracing our diversity as a strength, we are looking at it as points of belligerence. It is something that should be shunned in the 21st century. I insist. We are the intelligent species.
Why do you think people gravitate towards communal, tribal, ethnic cocoons?
It is because of the warmth they provide. I feel so. There is always the herd mentality. There is always some kind of
perceived security.
Imagined security, in fact.
But
it is
it really imagined fully?
It is. Because at the end of the day, when shit hits the fan, you roll by yourself. Your community is not going to rescue you.
If I look at just the concept of a chama and how it has permeated our society, where people have found a commonality and have come together to work together. And then I look at the urban as well as the rural setting. If you look at what we call the chama in town, and you go to a rural setting, where a lot of groupings, because the ethnicity in rural settings, it's one ethnicity, depending on the rural setting you're in. The gatherings are usually around a religious organization, a church, okay? And the comfort they find is the support that you receive when you're within that particular setting. And we cannot say the support is false. It is actually true.
It is there.
It is real.
Tangible, yeah.
It is very, very tangible.
Yeah.
And those groupings have enabled people to do things that ordinarily they would not have been able to do on their own. Like when it comes to buying land, that is, of course, you don't find a rogue land buying and selling company who flees you of your money. But groupings in and of themselves are not necessarily a negative thing.
True, very true.
Now, even what we call tribalism and the diversity of our people, it is a very beautiful thing.
Very true.
I say this because that diversity is part of your growth as a human being.
Indeed.
The exposure that you have, getting to meet other people, understanding how they think, understanding the differences, learning to accommodate it, now that's what makes you a better person.
True.
So it isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Absolutely.
But the narrative we often speak of, if you look at our political class, would you say they're a tribal outfit?
Largely.
Largely not, actually. Politicians agree very quickly on matters that concern them and matters that they can see benefit from. In fact, we're looking at the Gen Z and calling them tribalists. The political class have been tribalists for a very long time. The tribal issue only comes along when interests come in. When someone's interest is threatened or when someone sees a need to gain, and so they now call upon the immediate community where they come from to support them.
Interesting. Kimani Ngunjiri joins us this morning. Kimani, good morning.
Morning to you. And I'm sorry for being late. My age also matters. I must sleep a bit.
You must sleep a bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like a small
power nap in the morning is needed.
Reaching about middle of the night, you wake
sleep
up.
Disappears.
Yes, you wake up.
So you must catch up.
When it's almost in the morning again, you go another snap.
One comes.
Yes.
Well, now that you're here and woke, of course, I'm getting into the conversation, which what we're discussing today. And CT's brought up a point here and said, you know what? It looks as though politicians are not tribalists.
But they are tribalists.
They are tribalists, rather, yes. or they're not tribal in their.
No, they're not tribal. Not really.
Would you agree with that? And if that's the case, why do we continue to have these conversations around who is going to bring in the vote, or who is going to bring in, or who's going to lead, or where do the interests of a particular area, tribe of the country then play out in today's politics?
Well, I agree with my brother here. I don't know why people think that the tribe we were is bad to be that tribe, because we were born there. Nobody did application. We born in Nyanza. Nobody did application. We born in Central. We have to accept that because we met ourselves there by creative of God. All of us, we are there. But I agree with my brother. Where the problem comes, especially when now we get now to the leadership, then when we start now doing favoritism on employment, on sharing the cake, that now where it starts now. Because when you see maybe a certain person, he is the minister, but you see the surrounding or the people he is employing, they are from one region. Then now start threatening other side. Then now the name tribal start coming now. Yeah? You're not sharing the cake. Like Raila Odinga have been saying all through. The bread is not being shared equally. You see, now that one makes now people to go back to themselves and start talking politically that we are not getting what we are supposed to get. Then you come to employment, you see, like now when the police have been employed, there may be the GSU, maybe those kind of things. Then it comes, you see, maybe the people who are in charge or the present currently, you see, maybe people from one region, they have been employed more. Then now the name tribalism now started coming because now we are not sharing the cake or the employment equally. But I think it's very sensitive to us as Kenyans, where we have many tribes, to finish the name tribalism. Actually, we should be talking about the region, this region. But when we are threatened, we will come to that. So how can we be able to remove that?
Is it possible for Kenya to operate unified?
Well, it is very difficult in Kenya. In Kenya, it's so difficult because we create parties with the tribal region. And those political parties, when we elect people in them, then they come to share the power from the region where you come from. Then when you come now to share, then the problem starts. We have never, and we are not going, it is not easy to accept that anybody in Kenya, I will take him as my brother when it comes to employment. It doesn't matter. Even if one region will not get enough people, the number they think. But he's serving the Kenyans in a good way. But to remove that one is very hard because it comes when there's a threat. You know, I've been saying this. I've been MP Bahati for many years, about 10 years. And I always tell them, please, if I'm arrested for stealing, I did not steal for you. No, I stole for myself. Don't come in the demonstration in the court. Let me carry my clothes. But if something comes on, we are not sharing equally, we can demonstrate and say, we are not sharing equally. But you see, the top cream of our leaders here, somebody steals, and everybody have known he have stolen. Political leader comes, even hiring helicopter to go and bail you out, carrying money with a bag to come and bail you out. Then now, and we are the leaders who can finish this thing. What are we saying? There is a court, there is a system. Let me go in the court, in the system I'm supposed to be in the court. If we're to be jailed, let me be jailed as Ngunjiri. Don't come for me because I'm a Kikuyu, then Kikuyu comes to rescue me. Rescue me for what? If I stole for myself. Let me carry the burden with my family. But you see, we leaders, we impress that so much until it has changed to the people. And to remove it, my sister, is going to take us.
Isn't that what the movement is currently saying? Then I guess for both of you as well as you, Noni, is that's what the movement is saying. That because of these things having been so entrenched, that people go into positions of government, people go into positions of leadership with the tribal monkey on their back. And the movement currently is saying, then get rid of the whole lot of them and let's start this thing from scratch.
Yeah, I think that's where they are going. These Gen Zs, they are fighting for that. Maybe for some years, these things might maybe change, but they are fighting for a good thing. But my worry is what to happen in between when they are fighting for that. Because when they start now looting the shops of the business people, I've seen it in Morongo, right now when I was coming, Boda Boda. Now, Boda Boda, they were the ones who are reading Maandamano. Now they are crying, they are saying, we are going to defend ourselves. Our motorbikes have been banned, have been stolen.
But I think we're mixing issues here, Mweshimiwa, because the folks who were perpetrating this criminality are not the same people who were protesting peacefully.
That is true.
I beg to differ.
Why?
Because how then do you differentiate when somebody is on the streets? That is why As a person, I have been opposed to demonstrations from day one. Why? They tend to draw in all manner of character. And there is no identification. I cannot go in there wearing a t-shirt saying Ruto must go and I feel I'm righteous, and the person next to me is not wearing the same insignia and I feel they're the offenders. You cannot be able to demarcate. Nobody comes with a sign on their forehead that I am the arsonist or I am the looter, and another has a sign on their forehead that I'm the demonstrator.
Actually, what you say has a lot of truth to it. It does. But up until the 25th of last month, it would have been an unquestionable truth.
Yes.
But we saw two occasions when young people got into the streets and nobody was robbed.
Yes.
Nobody lost anything. The following week when they came in is now when what you're saying started again. So it means it is possible that there are young people who came in for the sole purpose not to demonstrate,
Exactly.
not to protest, but to steal.
Chaos.
Yes.
My point exactly. If you look at the kind of constitution we have, Mheshimiwa Ngunjiri, because you've been a parliamentarian for a very long time, its main significance was to prevent a reoccurrence of the 2007, where people got upset about something, and because they felt their voices are not going to be heard in that time's dispensation, they felt, let's go to the streets. So we put in so many checks and balances in the current one to make sure that we will never have to go rogue another time to pass a point. Why I was so opposed to the demos, I was like, first of all, let us remove the term Gen Z in the mix, because they're not the only ones who are feeling pressured by the situation. All of us. Even you, I know you're, slightly ahead of me. You're probably a Gen X. There's some things you're feeling, as much as you were probably part of the leadership, there's some things you're feeling, I don't like this, I don't like this. Everybody's feeling there's something they don't like. They call us complacent, especially for us millennials. They say, with these problems we are facing, it is because of you. No, at that time when we were youth, there's what we fought for. When you were their age, there's what you fought for. And when you were their age, there's every generation of youth fights for something. And I love them for committing to fight for, and especially to push the tribelessness. But do not forget, it did not start with them.
Actually,
like you said about politicians being tribeless.
No. Everything you're saying is true. Let's focus on how different these protests are from everything that we have seen. And how the times we live in makes it possible to be completely different.
Okay, let me respond to that. There was a time I had PLO Lumumba in a certain studio somewhere in a program called The Taco, and he was talking about demonstrations, and he's one person who's very passionate about it. And he said, Mahatma Gandhi, in the protests of God knows 19 what, came with his people, led them from the front, walked, talked about what he needs and what he wants. Our youth, because they have the energy and they have the capability and they even have better language, better zeal, better drive than we have, can be able to do that. First of all, in small numbers. You know why? Because the herd mentality and the mob psychology that we have as human beings, not as Kenyans, not as Gen Z, as humanity. The minute you go somewhere as a crowd, trust me, it does not matter how clean your intentions are. There's a chance that there is somebody somewhere with an ill intention who will take advantage of your noble cause, infiltrate it, and send us on a spiral like we are right now.
Let's look at the Soufriere Revolution. Let me call it the Soufriere Revolution, because that's what some people termed it, where people were protesting about the cost of living. Now, we saw vandalism. We saw shops being raided. We saw all that. I want to take you back to an earlier time. These protests where nobody's robbed have taken place in this country, in this city. We've seen them.
Yes.
There was a time, every Friday, if I'm not wrong, there used to be a mandamano.
Yes.
Nothing was taken, no one was robbed, no one. And there was a time when the opposition had these rallies in all their strongholds. They would march from one place to the other on a Friday, and that was it. After they've marched, they say what they want to say, it
There was
ends.
also another one called Machozi Monday.
Yes.
You remember
We've had situations, I'm supporting what you said earlier on, where no one got robbed, there was no vandalism, and the only time there was violence was when the police came in with tear gas or they came in with these water cannons. Okay? Now, at the time all these things were happening, we didn't have the youth bulge we have now. these people we refer to as youth comprise over 70% of our population.
True, very true.
In the Moi era, there were just 28%. So people like myself who are considered youth were not that many. Our children are the ones who are many. And meetings took place physically. Meetings no longer take place physically. Decisions are made
virtually.
Precisely. Now, the generation whose time it is and for whom the 21st century gels is this group we're referring to, Gen Zs, and your age. You started it, they understand it even better.
True.
And the tools that are available to them were not available to the rest of us earlier on. So we did what we did with the means we had. Theirs is far more effective. You know why? For the first time in the history of this country, the political leadership is being held to account, not by fellow politicians. And they're being held to account on issues. You're being told, we don't want this. Not, we don't like your party. We don't
Issue
like
based.
this. They're not even, and when they say change, they say, no, we want you to change this. We are unhappy with this. The conversation that we've waited for, your generation waited for it, we did, where we would be having issue-based discussions is taking place. And what we see before us has been brought about. Everybody played their part. Absolutely so.
In stages and steps.
These things are always incremental.
Indeed. All right.
Yes.
Let's take a break on that note. Coming around to continuing with this conversation and then asking ourselves, where are we in terms of being free from these shackles? Because it's been a conversation that has happened for decades. How are we going to go beyond some of those lines which have been drawn and actually sort out some of the issues? We'll come back and continue with this. Kimani, Ngunjiri, and Nonium So are our guests this hour as we continue having these conversations about abductions, about tribalism, and ask, when will Kenya actually be free? It's 27 minutes to 8 o'clock. Good morning.
A twisted story of revenge that will steal your hearts. A daughter will bear the punishments for the sins of her mother.
Vengeance is soon going to be mine. Their lives will be ruined, and a daughter will bear the punishment.
This is not a love story. It is a story of hearts broken by revenge.
So what?
Broken faith.
Only on KTN Home.
Nivea Pearl and Beauty Deodorant. The perfect balance of 48-hour protection and care for soft, smooth, and beautiful underarms. Try our new Pearl and Beauty Black Pearl for smooth and perfumed underarms.
Sitegemee watu watakukanyagia na kwani weni kiatu. Kwangu ni kutegemea Mungu. Ndio ukiendelea wanasikianga machungu. Na mimi nasema meza dawa basi. Juu Yesu ndio amenipatia.
Hey, my name is Bamboo African Bantu, also known as Baba Zion from Life is Spiritual Ministry, and you are watching Gospel 4100 on KTN Home. Keep it locked, all right?
Too much potential. Africa, you got too much potential. Dig this instrumental. Success is not accident.
Catch me KTN Home 7 to 10 this Sunday. God bless you.
Yeah. Oh, so now you got a family. Yeah. I said, yeah, I got a family. Yeah. You said, but what about the street life? Yeah. I said, forget about the street life. Yeah. You said, but what about the paper? Yeah. Said, I ain't worried about the paper. Yeah. My boss man is my savior. Yeah. And he can.
Gigiri Lion Villa is the epitome of luxury.
We have all the categories of rooms, starting from the superior and the standard. We have the deluxe, we have the junior suite, we have the executive and the presidential. When you walk around the property, it's so inviting, quite intimate, turning this small space into a luxury villa.
When we look at what is currently happening, the spate of abductions, the spate of different things being said at different junctures, is it possible to really unshackle Kenya from some of these things? Kimani?
Well, I think where we are now, things goes changing every day, as my brother have said. When he was youth, when also we were youth, we were doing different things than what these people are doing. But you see, I want to agree that the GMCs who started the first time, they were genuine. They did not root. They didn't fight the police. In fact, when I started seeing them, I was shocked, and I was also later very happy. How can these boys are demonstrating not the way we knew? They are friendly with the police. They are working together. They are giving them water. They are talking. Oh, this is the best thing. And what they are addressing, actually, even me, where I am, I'm seeing is a problem. Root stealing of the government people who are in the positions. All the kind of things they were saying, it was very good. But I discovered one thing. You know me, I'm a man of saying the truth. Because when these people came, politically, some people thought, how can we stop this? They looked a group, and those people are the people in the government. They looked for a group to come and loot so they can get accused of fighting the GNCs. That's what the first. I saw it.
You did? You saw this firsthand?
I saw it, and I knew who even now. I don't know what to mention. Who started that? And I knew, and I saw it. And he gave a lot of money. And he sold the idea to many. They went that way. Then on the other side, there are the people also who are mobilized. This is the time of overturning the government now. This is the time. That group also was there. Then it came another group. There's the time of looting. Now, these groups, when they met now together, then everything got spoiled completely. We are doing demonstration, hiding ourselves on this, and we are stealing ourselves. This is the time now of overturning the government. You can see it sincerely, politically, signals which is coming from the leaders. You can be able to assess which group is where and where. You'll be able to know politically. And it brought a lot of mess in this country. Now we are crying today because now the looting which is there, actually it is the worst thing we have never seen. And I'm very sad that we can go like other countries surrounding us and we can be the problem. You know, putting a poison in the body is very easy. But removing it is a problem. Putting fire is very easy in the forest. But stopping that fire, it's not easy. It turn on you and it burn you. So where we are going, we are not going good thing. But still, there are some point we can say the Gen Zs who are also there, in one way or the other, they did good when they started. Because
so are you saying that this movement is going to a place where it cannot then be controlled? And isn't that the thing that they're saying, that you shouldn't control it because you've controlled it in the past, and look at what we have, whereby there is huge corruption and that there are individuals who are not doing their job as is prescribed by the law, and that we have debt that has gone through the roof that we cannot control. That because you have controlled it so much and because you've been invested as an individual, things have gotten out of control already. And that the move is for governance, for proper structure of things to happen. The people who have been sitting in those positions have got to go.
That one I agree with you 100%. The problem which is there, if we address these things from the beginning, even the problem of finance bill, if we did the proper public participation, people could understood what is going on. But people did not do that. We did our ukora yetu ya kawaida ile, papa cham, and said we are finished. Now it is left with the president. He is doing now public participation himself alone now with Gen Zs. He is one who is doing it alone now. Because he is one who is responding, saying the budget is this is what you are supposed to pay for the debt, this is what you are supposed to do. He is taking it now, but the leader failed. They did not take it seriously to the people. And you see, I'm in the record. I've been saying to the president all the time, I'm the UDA. Although I left the UDA in this table.
Yes, you were here when you left.
Yes, and in this table, and it brought a lot of hot heat. But you see, what I said myself, I'm what I knew. Because I told the president, communication, it has failed. because people are not getting the communication in the ground. Second, there is a lot of people surrounding you abusing others and showing how wealthy they are. It will bring problem. And that's one of the that's one of the things made Gen Z saying, if you are giving 20 million in Harambee and we are dying because of the food, they must be very annoyed. I said that. That one I said, we need the government, even the president, to calm down. Calm down. Because my time when we were with Moya, was the chairman of KANU, he used to come if there's a problem. He comes in Nakuru. Not just political nini. He stays in the State House and he calls Luos, give me 10 Luos, Ngunjiri, give me Kikuyus 10, give me Wakamba Ishirini. We go and sit down. We talk and he understands the problem. Those kind of structures, they are afraid of the communication. And those problems, they are the ones which have put us now here, where we are. So for now, Gen Zs, they did good because now nobody can do bad things unless you are mad now, because they are focusing on you terribly. I saw them talking about me, about CDF. I don't know whether you got that in the CDF. And I don't know how they go. They went to see the Auditor General.
It doesn't matter where it's put, they'll find it.
Yes, they said we want this. We want to know the former MPs, how they did their auditing, the audit, and the current. And they came up, the Auditor General told them the best person to manage the CDF was Ngunjiri. I had myself in the air, everywhere. I was trading number 9. It's them, not me. So are those not good things if now they are able to check us inside and blow what we are doing wrong or right? So a certain percent, it is doing good. So because we cannot go back, ma'am, where we were. We cannot. There's a change now and we must accept with the change. Now they are looking for your number. The number of your wife, the number of your daughters.
Doesn't that amount to cyberbullying?
Does it?
Yes, but you see...
That's bullying.
No, let me tell you.
It should not be hailed at all.
Let me tell you.
You cannot be tormenting people.
No, give me a chance. I explain you why. Maybe you might say that on one day, bullying. I can agree also in that side. But you see also, we are still hiding our property to our wife and children. That's what we are doing. They must go deeper looking. Where did you get this property? Because you yourself, your property from me, through me. Because I don't want to be seen. I'll put in your name. I'll put in my daughter. So they're in the court. They're in the court, those people. Like the governor who was in Kabul sometimes. I'm sorry to mention that. They're in the court. Him, the wife, the children. So sometimes when they are doing that, they are looking also, how did you come to be where you are for now? We have no problem. As a person, Google, look what I have. Even come and ask me, I will say. And if you don't go down, we agree. I agree with my sister, bullying and doing all that. But a certain percent, people start fearing now not to steal. Because this country, actually, we can manage with what we have. The stealing is just too much.
Does the end not justify the means in this case, Noni? And as difficult as that's a conversation to hear, that essentially we had a conversation a couple of days ago whereby we're saying that governance for the people who are the drivers of governance, that you must be on toes, that your seat must be so uncomfortable. People have to hold you to a sense of accountability that you will not do anything to topple that trust.
I think we need to go back to a conversation we had some time ago when we were pushing for the implementation of the 2010 Constitution, because we have proper organs and systems in place that can put everybody in check if they are actually utilized. There's a lot of that Constitution that has not been implemented. You do agree with me, you're a member of Parliament, and that's where the holes are. To get to the point where we need our youth to come to the street to tell us to behave as leadership, I think that shows signs of failure in the major organs we have, especially Parliament. Because why do we need... I do not have the document with me here, but if we were to go through that document, it provides for so many avenues of checks and balances of how to look into public expenditure, into controlling pilferage. We cannot be telling these children that every time they feel that they would want other MPs to operate like Mheshimiwa Onesmus, they go to the street. They will be infiltrated by criminals. So their message is not going to get home. And that was my point from the beginning. I have Gen Alphas. I have 16, 17-year-olds. So I know, and I see the way they drive me like a Ferrari in the house. So I know these young people, the way they operate. And don't forget, these are people who've not even finished school. So I imagine by the time they get to college and they get to their 20s, watakuwa wananipeleka rat race sana. What's my point? We need to show these kids order. It does not take rocket science.
What does order? Okay, that's interesting. But what does order look like? What does order look like?
That's exactly where I'm going. Since the dawn of Julian Assange and Snowden and all those people who could be able to get into the systems and bring information, we know that there is nothing on this earth, on the face of this planet, that is going to happen behind the scenes and is not going to come out. Because we saw Snowden and WikiLeaks and all that stuff. It came out, didn't it? And that's international stuff. So what we are saying here is that it does not matter how genuine a group of youth is in wanting to push an agenda. They have got to follow the stipulated order in the law for them to have a point.
I think it does matter.
No.
I think it does matter how much they want to change. Because is this not what revolution is made of?
If they do not use order to do a revolution, it will be infiltrated, and we will be here discussing it every other time.
Noni, I need you to be very clear. I need you to be very clear about what order looks like, because I think this is vital to the conversation. Look, when you're saying order, and like CT said previously, we saw days, not one, not two, where there was orderly marching of thousands of young people, of even older people, and just marching. That was orderly. With the infiltration of certain elements, which, if we're going to go by what Kimani is saying this morning, that was deliberately introduced, then what does order look like? Does order look like writing a letter and saying we'd like to meet? What does order look like?
You know, you're just taking what I'm saying and putting it in a different perspective. He put it this way. There's a group of youth, they have a point. There are people in government who don't want to listen to them. There are people in opposition who want to overthrow the government. And then there are looters. So now we have 4 groups. They've all gone to the streets. I'm here in my little shop trying to sell wares and make money, and they've come and descended on me. This first group that had a point, when are they going to be listened to and how are they going to be listened to? Because with benefit of hindsight in this country, we know there's no time demonstration, no matter how sincere they are going to go and infiltrated. Do not forget that government has a wealth of intelligence. So I'll say this without fear or without any reservations, that there was intelligence about all those demos, who's funding them, who's doing ABCD. They knew their genuinity or lack of it, but people just sat still. Even people in opposition, they just sat still and they're like, oh, there are youth who want to talk to government. We are going to use it to overthrow. So my point is this, can't we have systems, and I'm so happy we have a former member of parliament here, can't we have systems where our youth, because I'm telling you, I have them in my house and they put me to order and they make me do things that I never thought as a mother I would do. Can we have systems where these people's interests are protected in a way that if they have a voice or if they have something they want to voice out, it is not infiltrated by gangs, both from government and opposition and other people out there? Can
I assist you, Noni?
Please, kindly.
That won't happen.
So what are we saying? That it's an effort in futility?
The way change takes place, if you understand it, it's amidst everything that you are saying. If the demonstrations had not begun, there would have been no infiltration. The harm we've seen, the deaths we've seen, the conversation we're having would not be taking place. But let's not lose sight of what has happened. I have never seen politicians more scared than they are now in the time I've lived on this planet. Yes. And not because someone is threatening their lives, no. Someone is threatening them with the truth.
Exactly.
Exactly what are they scared of? Those phone calls or those texts?
The truth.
The truth. What you are, what you do,
how you've been doing,
what you've been doing, how you represent your people. That fear.
Let me tell you.
Yes, please.
I'll give you a very simple an example. We are here with our brother here. And you are here as our women. Let's put it that way. You are married, I'll give you a very good simple. When I got married to you, as you were coming at home at 6 o'clock, we are together after work. Then when time goes, I'll come at maybe 11. Then I will continue. I will come at 2 o'clock. I will come in the morning, and you are just keeping quiet. You are just keeping quiet. The next day, I will come in the morning.
Because you didn't register your...
Yes, you didn't register.
Your uncomfortability.
And
with
you didn't ask me, and I'm feeling, I have freedom.
He might even come back after a week.
Yeah, after a week. Because now, I have freedom. She's not talking. She's not talking. There's no problem. But when you start reminding me, and that's what Gen Zs are doing.
This is not a hotel.
This is not a hotel. You used to come at this time. Now you are coming this time. Where are you coming from? Or are you working at night? Do you have a shift at night? When you don't actually signal to me that, as I'm talking now as a man, when you mention to me that, I will start saying, oh, I'm being seen.
So she's had a problem
even
all this time.
Even I'll start fearing, if I'm late, how am I going to say now? Because I'm late. So I will start behaving myself. That's what I'm telling you. Now, this is what Gen Zs they have come to see now, to do now. Let me tell you, just another example, a very simple one. If you don't actually say a problem is coming, it will come up to the bedroom. You need to start saying, here, there's a problem. Here, there's something which is not going well. Let me tell you, I have a man, if I press my wife and put her pressure because I'm a man and she has nothing, I put her pressure in the house, beating her, doing funny things to her. She'll just keep quiet and keep quiet. But one day, when you meet with a group of women or in the church, one day, because of substance, he cannot talk anywhere else, she'll say, let me tell you, I have a problem at home.
And so she'll snap. And I think that's where we are. We're at the snap moment.
Yes, they'll say, I have a problem. You see this husband, you think that he is very good to me. There's a problem. She beats me in the house. She does this, it will blow.
So should we
this is what has blown now.
Exactly. So should we change the husband, or do we chase the husband away?
No.
And so the question is, with the scenario that we're dealing with in the country today, with the president who is still in a position of leadership, we cannot run away from that. What needs to happen to free this country of these lines that we are consistently dealing with? What needs to happen?
What needs to happen? Just let me just put a finish on that. What happened to that? Because she is my wife, for example, and you have seen, she has seen me, she has talked about my problem, and we have children. There's no use of divorcing. The most important thing, can we sit down and agree? Ma'am, what have I done wrong? You have done ABCD, because it has put us in this situation. Then I have to accept.
At that time, she's breathing fire.
Yes. But you must cool her down on accepting the truth and the fact. What do? We come together. The problem, yes, I've done wrong. I'm sorry. Yes.
Let's build this.
Yes. You see what the president said, that he has considered a defeat. That was a very strong word on that. But from there now, we need to see it coming down. And the way he has dissolved the parliament, the cabinet is a good signal, because now it's going to come down. But now, as me, I'm giving my chance to say, maybe when you are creating this, you created with the parties. We still respect the parties. But now, you need to do a lot because of the region. But now, it is you, as a president. We are waiting for you now to be yourself.
Noni?
Yes.
I feel, I don't know why I feel every time we take that line of conversation, we are fighting cloak and dagger wars. Why? Because the Gen Zs or whoever the demonstrators were came out to the street and said we don't like ABCD. Then the president dropped the finance bill, and the president dropped his cabinet, and he said I want to talk to these people. Then people go all out and they're like, we do not want dialogue. At that point, as a mom, I started getting domesticated in my head and thinking of the way my kids take me rat race. I was like, if you say you want A, I give you. You say you want B, I give you. And then you say you want C, and I give you. And then you say you still don't want. I will throw you out of my freaking house.
But this is the problem.
Look,
but this is the problem.
You have been given ABCD. Are we going to keep shifting goalposts and changing shifting the paradigm like that?
This is not one clear.
You know, this is a country we are running here.
But
this is not
a where am I going to go?
Noni, this is
where am I going to go? And I'm in
That is what I'm saying. We need to teach our children that they cannot keep shifting goalposts.
But I think this is an issue here, because you're not dealing with mother and father and children. You're dealing with a nation where everybody as a citizen is a stakeholder.
Yes.
Good. Can we sit down with all the stakeholders? These people say they're leaderless, they're tribeless, they're whatever. So let them come. How many millions were they saying they are? 20 million. What is the next step? That's why I get agitated when we do make these kids feel like this is a very big achievement. You're a member of parliament, and you know the reason why parliament is there. It is not all of us cannot go to make laws. That's why we have representatives.
The system we are
so can we have them in a certain order? Just a minute. Can we have them in a certain order that we can be able to put them down somewhere? And I'm telling you this because even the ones I have in the house will ask, why is the government doing this? And I'm looking at them, I'm like, I'm not the government.
That might be an issue, Noni, because you speak as though they need to be put down and then be spoken to, and that's an issue.
They need to be listened to from a particular perspective. They are not going to be listened to.
No.
Even our time. How then will they
find out the perspective from which they wish to be listened to?
Exactly. Can they present that?
Not you put them telling them how they ought to listen.
In fact, we are not even telling them because we don't even know who to address when talking to them. So can they propose whether they will act as ghosts or whether they are going to send text messages or do what they did, whether they are going to do that? Can they send a message of how exactly they would want their grievances to be addressed in a manner that is not going to make them be infiltrated by these criminals?
Can I hear from you quickly? Sorry, Kimani. Can I hear from you in terms of what would happen or what would be your message to the president as he now is constituting or thinking about constituting a new cabinet, taking all of these views into consideration as our time winds down?
Thank you, ma'am. Now that's where we are. We're in the dish. How do we come out for that dish? Now, these Gen Zs, still they respect the president. They know the president is there. And that's where they are saying they don't want anybody else. They want to talk with the president. That's what they are saying.
That's a good thing.
And again, let me maybe remind you that these people have already said what they want. They have said. They have written to the president. I think it is in the media everywhere. Reduce the cabinet, corruption, the budget. They have done it. All those things they have given the president. What I'm proposing myself to the president, the solution of this thing, saying that you are going to call 100 people and you are going to call Gen Zs 50, it will not work. Gen Zs, they are all over in Kenya. How are you going to get to them? And if you interfere to get to them at this and this, Gen Z, they will see who appointed so and so. It is corruption. They'll start saying that. And the politician and the people who have money, they will still interfere with pushing some of those boys there. So the Gen Zs will not rest. How can we make sure that we can communicate with them? It's very simple for me, if I'm the president. If they have written me all the things which they want, let me just communicate with them the way he communicated with the Twitter and the media. Okay, this is the budget we have. This is the debt we are paying outside. Right. This is what we pay the salary. This is what we pay the counties because of the hospitals, because of this. Put all the expenses there.
Put it in the table, black and white.
Yes, put in the paper. Say that now, okay, ladies and gentlemen and Gen Z, listen to us. This is what I have.
And
so with this one now, I can be able to do this and this and this. But this one, I have accepted already. I cannot be able to do this and this and this. Anybody who is normal will be able to see and he will be able to listen at him. And even many people will give him sympathy because there's the budget, there's what I'm paying, there's what we have.
Our time has run out. And I think that's an interesting place to start from. And I have to say thank you to both of you for being here this morning. Noni Mso, communication specialist, and politician Kimani Ngunjiri, thank you for being here this morning. Let's see how this all unfolds. Important conversations to keep having. Asante Sana. It's 8 a.m.